Grab a drink, a joint, or maybe just your chair. It's time for Business After Hours with Summer Thorn and Claire Tinkler. I've got a button missing. I've got a double chin today. Are y'all ready? What is going on, y'all? Today we have my friend and colleague and fellow CPA. She is also an author, a speaker. Goodness, Marit, multiple business owner. What else is there? There's all kind of stuff.
Dirt bike rider?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't say a good dirt bike rider, but I can putt around.
Skateboarder, podcast,
Yeah.
host, everything. You've got a little bit of everything. So
Thanks.
I thought that
And
there
thanks
would.
thanks for having me on. I feel very privileged to be on a podcast with 2 other female CPAs. I've never done that before and so rare in general in such a man-dominated industry. So I love this female gathering. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk to you guys today.
Yeah, and it
Yes.
wasn't even intentional. We were not, like, excluding males on purpose. I think we just kinda gravitate towards
Gravitate.
species.
Yeah, and you can have a male on next time. Today it's all about girl power.
Yeah. And like probably 15 years ago, if you would have told me that I would have two super close friends that are CPAs and they're chicks, like I would just been like, there ain't no way.
If you woulda told me that time ago that I would even be a CPA, I probably would have been like, "No. It's a lot so much hard work." I would have been like, "I don't know about that."
Yeah, even going through the exam process, I was like, "I don't know if I'm gonna make it, man." At first, like, you wanna get that award, what is it, like, 95% or above, and you get some, like, distinguished award. I was like, "I wanna get that." And then I took the first and I was like, "Fuck it, I just wanna get through this. I don't even care."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think I cried in the tub every night for an hour. I was just like, all right, I guess I gotta get out and go to bed and do it over again. When you're studying.
What a perfect tip for your listeners. If you are ever gonna study for the CPA exams, there's 4 of them. They call it 1, but there's actually 4 or 3 actually maybe with the new I don't know. Anyway, regardless, there's a lot. Expect to cry a lot because I did the same thing. I think I told my husband, I was like I just kept saying, "The only way out is through," and he'd say, "You're pot committed," like in Vegas, like when you put your money in on the table, you're pot committed. You've got all your money on the table, and there's, like, literally nothing you can do but write it out.
Did you guys
Pot
say
committed.
after you passed all 4 exams, did you guys have a crisis right after I passed all 4 exams? First, it was elation. I was like, "Yes, I made it through." And then immediately after that, I was like, "I don't wanna do this anymore." I was started looking into other careers. I was like, "I don't now that I have this, I don't want it. I'm done."
What about you, Claire?
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, I was glad. I probably got super drunk and high because it was over, thank God. But then at that point, you're just like, oh, fuck. Like now I have to go do busy seasons for real. And
Committed.
yeah,
Yeah.
because if there isn't really going back at that point, like you
No.
either you're going full force or or you're gonna have to go back to school or do something else or start a business in something totally different.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird feeling to work so hard for something for so long, and then all of a sudden they're like, "You're done." And you're like, "Oh, shit." It's like hard halt. And I
Yeah.
actually just felt like they weren't gonna give me my license because I have a really hard time accepting when good things happen to me that they're not gonna be taken away. So I passed, and then for the longest time, I was like, "They're not gonna give it to me. They're gonna find something wrong. They're gonna take it away." And I had all this anxiety anyway, and then when I got it, I was like, "Oh, okay.
It's here.
Well,
I was
shit."
the same way, I think. Yeah.
Just not
Yeah.
accepting it or, like, having a crisis of identity, like, that was already this is already my 2nd career, so I already had the Air Force career and then this, and so after I got it, I was like, "This is my life now." Like you said, you're pot committed, you spend so I would hate to know how many hours I spent studying on top of busy season, like, how much time, and then the emotional damage, it's traumatizing. You
So
can't
emotionally
like,
traumatizing.
you have to sit.
And I don't know about your states, but in Utah, you have to have the equivalent of a master's degree in credit. So there was also all the school, and I paid for everything out of pocket because I didn't work for a large firm. So I paid for all my student loans, I paid for all the study material, I paid for every single exam, and I still have those beautiful student loans just sitting there looking at me every day, so still pot committed because it's not over yet. Because 'cause they're like, "Here we are, so you better do something because you gotta pay us off at some point," so
Yeah, bigger
Yeah.
yeah, they
forever, unfortunately.
And that's why I didn't get my MBA because I was just trying to do the cheapest route. Like, just I think I just did there's shit. What is it called? Like correspondence courses, like 250 a pop. I needed because I started out in pre-pharmacy, so I had already had some extra hours. So I like fuck that. I'm not getting my MBA for an extra 30 grand. But hindsight's 2020. But that would have been nice to have that.
I have to say that actually one of the most valuable things I think I got from that whole process was the fact that I chose to get my master's in taxation, and
Yeah.
so the school was amazing. The professors, like Weber University, Weber State, they do it, all virtual. I never went in, which was so good because 'cause I'm a mom and I have all these kids and business and stuff, but, like, I was really able to hone in and get in there on tax, and I say it all the time. If I was gonna spend any money on school, it was the best money I spent. I could never say, "Well, I went to college, I didn't learn anything." It's that way with the accounting degree. I feel like you get ledgers and credits and debits, and you're like, "Okay," but then you have to go out and actually do QuickBooks and accounting, it's totally
Yep,
different.
yep.
But with
Yeah.
the master's in taxation, that was actually legit. Like, they taught you how to do the research, they taught you how to do the returns, you got feedback from these really smart tax attorney professors, so you weren't just an idiot, so that was, I would say, the silver lining for
Dude,
sure was that part.
research being able to research something effectively, that's such an underrated skill in accounting because you're not gonna know everything, right? So what you need to know is how to access the resources you need to answer the questions you're having. And there are some really specific once you do start getting into the nitty-gritty, there's some really fucking specific scenarios that you run into and you're like, well, I know at this high level what school taught me, but I don't know this exact scenario or what flies in the real world, like what is the IRS going to accept and what are they going to grant some leeway on? So I think
Yeah.
that's gaining that skill of research and understanding where to find the answers is so important because you don't
Oh,
have
yeah.
all the answers. You certainly do not. There's a difference between school experience and life actual experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
uh,
I was gonna say, I think when I was younger, I always felt like I needed to know the answer.
Yep.
So ironic because now I call myself the research queen, and I'm like, I can research it. I'm damn good at researching it. I can find it, and it's because you're right. You just it's almost weird when you talk to a tax person and they act like they know the answer all the time because there's no possible way that they do. And you're like, it's almost inauthentic. It's, are you just like lying now? Should I trust you? I don't know. I think there's something in all business to when you're in business, like being real and being like, I don't know or I don't have all the answers. It like builds that trust. Whereas I used to think if I said that, they would lose all trust in me. So perception shift.
yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see a lot of the Instagram CPAs where they're like, if your CPA is not doing this, then they're a shitbag. And I'm like, or they're like, every single small business solopreneur needs to be an S corp, and they're painting these like big broad strokes over everything. Those are the ones that I'm like, you're a dick for painting this broad general stroke when you like a lot of these people are going to take it to heart. They're not going to hire a professional. They're going to do the wrong thing. They're going to fuck it up and you're going to cost them more money because you decided to give them bad information on an advertisement just to get business. That's
Yeah.
so unethical.
And there's a lot of them out there.
Oh yeah, I see them all the time. Like I don't know why I'm getting the ads. I'm like, I'm not looking for accounting services. I am an accountant, but it's crazy how many I see. I'm like, oh, not good business, man. But you said you have a bunch of kids. How many kids do you have?
So I have 3 that came out of my body. I've
Okay.
got twins that are 6 and an 8-year-old, and then I have an awesome stepdaughter. Shout out to Riley if she watches this. I don't think she does because maybe she'll watch yours. She won't. I have a podcast called CPA After Dark, and I think it's actually super fun and cool, but she won't. She's accounting's lame, but like maybe since this is business after hours, she'll watch it. Shout out to Riley. She's my 18-year-old that I've been her
Really?
stepmom since she was 6,
She's
so
beautiful. Yeah, she's
she's
beautiful.
awesome, and I found a way to correspond with her where I get quick responses, lots of good, like, details. You wanna
Yes.
know how you can get the
Yes.
tea from your team? Because I can tell you right
Yes.
You cannot text them or try to call them, you have to Snapchat them. Snapchat them all
Why?
day.
What was that?
Snapchat,
I
"Good
hate
morning."
them.
Snapchat, "What are you doing, boo?" Snapchat, "How's your day going?" And you'll get all the answers. I've got
Why
it
is
all figured
that?
out now.
Is it
That's
just
just
like
how it is.
instant?
Summer?
I just think, like,
Yeah.
they're so addicted to looking at Snapchat all the time. They're like, "Oh, I got a snap," and then they're like, "Oh, okay." Like, it's different. A text, they're like, "Eh." Snapchat,
Yeah,
funny.
that's too
Well,
funny. I don't have any kids. I just have dogs. Summer has
Oh, that's
they
kids.
can't
okay.
Snapchat you.
Yeah.
You could create an account and just talk to yourself. That might be a little insane. Yeah,
That's
no,
I
I've
think you
noticed
said you have teenagers, right, Summer?
yeah, they're Irish twins. They're 14 months apart. They're 16 and 17, turning 17 and 18 this in 25. God, I can't believe the year is almost over.
Yeah, so fast.
But yeah, they I have noticed when I text them, I call Instagram them. I've been blocked on Instagram though. But when I Snapchat them, they actually respond. And I don't know what I think it's so like in their culture, leaving someone on
They're
red
cool.
is super offensive. No cap.
No cap. Yeah.
No cap.
No, it's so mid to leave people unread. Come on.
Yeah, it's so crazy having teens because I remember several moments that stick out in my mind where I'm like, I'm never going to forget what it's like to be a teen and how hard it is and how much my parents suck. And now, as a parent going through it, I'm like, I don't understand them. I don't understand their language anymore. I don't understand their music. And I thought I was the cool parent, but clearly that's not possible. You just can't be like, whatever we write the script for as teens or what they're writing the script, we've got to change it because that's the teenager's job is to create an identity. And so it has to be
Yeah.
separate from ours. And so they're gonna create their own and make new words like no cap.
Yeah. And
What
wear
the
the
hell is
same
that?
sunflower belly shirts that I used to wear when I was their age. I'm like, "I had that same sunflower belly shirt. What's happening?"
It
Like, I
all
had that
comes
same
down.
one, literally. Yeah, that's funny too because my husband is so awesome. He rides dirt bikes, BMX, he's so cool. He's a young parent, right? Because he had her when he was young, whereas my other 3, like, I'm gonna be an older parent. They're 6 and 8, she's 18. So he's, like, young. I'm pretty young for her, like, he's still so cool, and she's still "You guys are so lame," and I'm like,
So
"No, we're not. We're, like, the coolest. What are you talking about?" Didn't you just hear listen to the intro that Claire just gave me, okay? She
And
said
then
it herself, "I'm cool." Yeah, tell Claire what no cap means.
Oh, no lies, no lying.
No lies,
oh, no lies, that's what it means?
Yeah,
no
Oh,
for
lies.
okay.
real.
No
Like
lies.
how we use for real, no cap.
Or like
Yeah,
how they
yeah.
sound constantly say literally. Okay. No cat.
Your
There's
your does your oldest say bruh?
Yeah, and my 6-year-old bras me all the time. She's like, "Bruh." And then
Bruh.
I have a lot of clients that are content creators, influencers, and I get a lot of IDKY, I wanna buy a Lambo, and bruh, that's so and I'm just like, IKY you wanna buy a Lambo because they're sick. Well, let's talk,
IDKY. I
bruh.
don't know you.
I don't know why. IDKY, I don't why I wanna buy
Oh,
a like,
Okay.
IDKY, I wanna buy a Lambo, bruh, and I'm like, "No, bruh, I know why you wanna buy a Lambo because 'cause they're, like, dope. I get it."
Yeah, like, shit,
Is it
okay,
the
so
smartest thing for you right now? Maybe not, but, like, I know why, I get it.
yeah. So it's not IDKW, it's IDKY.
No, it's IDK and then Y,
Bruh.
okay, yeah,
BRUHH.
bruh.
Oh, that.
Yep, you
Okay.
said right, bruh.
It's talking about content creators and everything. Yeah, you do have a lot of creators as your clientele,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm totally niched into it. I love it. I find it very fulfilling to like because you can have I still have the traditional clients, the doctors, the lawyer. I kind of like lawyers, no cap. Lawyers are cool. And you have these anesthesiologists and construction people, they're fine.
Restaurant.
I just feel like the influencers and the content creators, they're so fun to work with and they're hard to get to do things because it's just not on their mind. They're not the most responsible or proactive, but you can actually help them change their life. You can be like, "Look, do you have health insurance? No. Okay, let's get you some. Are you saving for any retirement? No, I'm not. IDKY, I want to buy a Lambo. Okay, cool. But let's like put some in your retirement." You actually feel fulfilled working with them and they're just so fun. I just really I love it. I feel like they bring a light to my practice. I've really niched into it. I won't say no to other types of clients, but they're my favorite by far.
So,
Yeah.
like, do they skew younger then since they're influencers? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
most of them do. Yeah,
Yeah.
some of them are older, but most of them are in their early 20s.
Okay. So, very close to your oldest daughter. And I always love drawing parallels between things that don't normally have them. As a parent, you can draw some parallels to being a business owner, right? Or a whole manager and having to wrangle cats. What are some parallels you found between being a parent and being a business owner?
Between being a parent and a business owner or being a parent and then having clients that are in their 20s?
Both. Yeah.
Both. I think in terms of having clients that are in their 20s, that's easier for me to answer. I find myself a lot just being like, I don't wanna age myself, but I'm like, "Dude, I don't get it," or "You don't understand. When you're 40, you're gonna be happy that you did this." But I try not to parent them. I definitely think
Yeah.
my mind there's parallels, but I also know how important it is to not micromanage your children, right? Like my daughter, I told her to vote. I asked her multiple times throughout the past few months if she was registered. She wasn't. And so yesterday, my little girls were like, "Is Riley gonna vote?" And I said, "I don't know. That's how I feel." Because I told them, they were like, "I wanna vote." I'm like, "You can't till you're 18, but your sister can." And I don't know if she is because she knows how I feel about it, but I'm not gonna be, like, texting her today, like, on her ass about it. So, that's a lot of parallels with my clients. I'm very, like, I know to be like, "Hey, we need to get this done," but also not to push them because I don't like that, and I'm not trying to be their parent.
Yeah.
And then I don't really I'd have to come back to you on just overall as a business.
Yeah,
I
that's a
can't
tough
really
one. I'm
think.
trying to think myself what parallels. I guess like you really get used to rejection having a teen. It's a really toxic relationship where
Yeah.
you're texting someone over and over, "Hey, I love you." You never get anything back. "Just want to let you know I still love you." And you're just like always like there for them and you never receive anything back. I feel like
That's like having a shitty
Like the
client.
shittiest
Those are the
client.
clients that I fire.
yeah,
That's the thing
exactly.
about my younger content creators, like, they're not being shitty on purpose. That's just how they roll. Or you have those other types of clients that are older that should know better, and then you're like, "You're out." So with
Yep.
your you can't really I think teens and young people in general maybe get more of a pass because they're not doing it on purpose, it's just they don't
Peer
get it.
culture. Yeah.
Older people that do it on purpose, you're like, "Hey, I don't know if you're an ideal client, you gotta go."
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely give leeway to younger, not children, but young, yeah, like the 20-year-olds
Young
time when
adults.
their
Yeah.
brain's not fully developed. You can still like help shape and mold and guide, like you said, like just being a gentle hand that, "Have you thought about this yet?" And
Yeah.
sometimes like sometimes they'll think you're a genius and you're like, "This was common knowledge." But then you have to realize like they haven't lived as long as you and they don't it's not common knowledge and you're really giving them like life-changing advice because they haven't encountered that yet.
So true.
Kind of
It
cool
Just
to
is.
see.
really hard to, like, really make very simple, but that's all things in the accounting industry. I
Yeah.
think going back to those social media posts you talked about where the people just give you this clickbait that's not really true and it's, like, false information. I
Yeah.
myself started my Instagram, The Extroverted Accountant, for anyone who wants to check it out, and I
Yes.
did it with the purpose of trying to combat some of that because I was getting so irritated with all the clickbait and some of my earlier posts, you see it, I'm trying so hard to give the correct info, and people don't care. They don't really wanna hear it. They don't wanna be told what they can't do. They wanna be told what they can do. And then there's that whole minute and a half limit. So you're
Yeah.
like, "I have to get this into a minute and a half." And then you realize, like, I did that awesome reel, just barely the "Oh, shit"
I
reel. I thought
love
it was
it.
so funny. The average watch time on it was 3 seconds. So even that, which was not being like, I know you think that you should be an escort, but here are times when it might not be right for you. They're gone. They have left. And like mine was like a million times more entertaining than that. And it was still only 3 seconds. I was like, are you guys for real? That
Wait,
was
and
perfect. Come on.
that's the one that you
3 seconds.
just did the other day?
Yeah. The average watch time was like between 3 and 4 seconds and they were out. Like they were like, do you
I
want to
thought it
know
was
where you lost your viewers? It was right here. I was like,
And how much
so
time
you
did you
don't
spend
even
on it?
I didn't spend that much time,
Okay.
actually. It was really
Well,
fun and quick to film, like, we had a good time. We ordered some fake money from Amazon. I did not order real money.
It was
I got to
limited, it
go
was just
through
a bunch
and
of
my
ones.
husband is awesome. He loves, like, filming. He's very creative, so he just filmed me. He edited it real quick, like, it was just a fun thing, but I just found it funny that even something that's so not it was just not
Not
even any information. You don't even
yeah,
get a minute and a half is my point.
yeah.
So it's really hard to put out educational content, I think, of any type on, like, Instagram or TikTok and get people to watch it. Like, it's a challenge I'm still working with for sure.
Yeah, that's such a great insight, and it's hard to think of, like, how to c you can't get good information out in 3 seconds. You can't educate in 3 seconds.
and not taxes, not accounting, not no,
No.
about running a business. Not yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. Unless
Even
you're like,
entertaining
"Do
and
you
bringing money, like,
be
how does that
you
not
wanna
work?
be living under a bridge?" They might be like, "Okay, wait."
Yeah,
And then you're
exactly.
like,
We should try
and
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
cover that first part, but then the next part better be something equally you need to do gnarly little bursts.
Yeah.
"You wanna be living under a bridge? You're gonna be poor. I'll tell you how not to be poor. Hire a CPA." You're done.
Oh my god,
And
it's
maybe
funny,
they'll
like
Yeah.
Democracy, like the movie where everyone gets dumber over time, where you only have 3 seconds of time where people are gonna pay attention, and it has to be
Mhm.
monosyllabic. It has to be very blunt, almost fear-mongering to get people to listen.
Yeah. What is it called? Like they for marketing, it's like pains and gains. People talk about people's pains and gains. That's what they want to hear about. But then they have to see it 5 times and there it takes less than five. You have to catch their attention in less than 5 seconds or whatever. But it's just like, Jesus, it's so much. Like how
Yeah.
Yeah, and every business it's so individual that you really can't give each business the advice that they specifically need. And there's like these intangible things. Like one of the biggest questions when we take on a client is entity structure, right? S corp. Do I need to be an LLC? Do I want to switch to C corp? And even if we were to take the black and white pieces of the puzzle and put them together, we still can't answer that question because the intangible pieces are like what's your risk tolerance? What are your assets? Where are your values? Like where do you see yourself in 5 years? Those are the things that like you can't put in black and white writing and understand what the client needs. So it's so hard to deliver that information and give it to them in a meaningful way that actually is bespoke to them.
I
it
have to
really is.
say that I don't really take on clients anymore who do that DIY approach. Like, I've had my fill of getting clients who have tried to DIY it based off like what they see on YouTube. I
Yeah.
follow this influencer on YouTube, this accountant on YouTube. This person told me, and I will get them, and it's like such a hot mess that I don't even really want it anymore. If you and then the other thing is they say, "Why am I paying you so much when I can get all this information for free?" So you're right, there isn't that connection there of like your situation is completely different than even if it was a 2-hour long YouTube video talking about something, it still might not apply to you. I
Right.
just won't even deal with it anymore. I do my little discovery calls, and if they're like, "And I did this, and I set this up myself, and I did this, and why would I pay you for this? And tell me what you're gonna help me with," because I've already done a lot of it myself. I'm like, "We're not a good fit. Go somewhere
Yeah.
else." I won't even put up with that anymore. It's then go do it yourself because 'cause
That
I'm not
Yeah.
dealing with
that's a key phrase right there. Why would I pay you to do X? Especially during a discovery call, if someone says that phrase, that's a red flag. Like, why would I pay? If you don't understand why you're on
that's a
this
black
discovery
flag for
call,
me. That's a
yeah,
straight black flag. I'm like,
why
"You're
Yeah.
are
out."
the call?
Yeah, you're out.
But so, like, in the vein of drawing parallels between things that don't even match each other, like I started doing DIY projects to my home, and I realized that being a beginner at something is it gives you a unique perspective and helps me see things from my client's point of view because when I would start a project, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll do this in a day. 5 hours will be done. I'd get through it in about a month. And so if I were to hire a contractor to do that same project, like that's not going to take you that long because I don't have an understanding of what they're doing and the uniqueness of my situation. Like even I just did the whole book nook thing. And every single time I touched that project, I underestimated the amount of dollars it would cost and the amount of time it would cost. So going through that, I was like, I get it. I understand why they do it. It seriously is a lack of education. And I think sometimes it is if they ask questions in earnest and they're like, "How long do you think this will take?" or "I don't understand this," I'm happy to answer. But that phrase, "Why would I pay you?" shows not only a lack of understanding of the process, but a lack of self-awareness that you don't know what you're asking for.
Yeah, or why are you charging me so much when it only takes you X amount of time to do it? The contractor can do it in a fifth of the time than you
Yep.
can because he has experience and practice and he's got his contractor license. He's studied, he has
Cool.
the right tools, he has everything that he needs, and
He's got
that's why.
insurance.
But it's
Yeah.
very funny how accountants always get questioned on these things like, how, why are you charging me so much when it takes so much time? Or why do I have to pay you for a consult? And it's funny, it's would you go to the doctor and be like, "No, I don't want that checkup. I want you to go right into surgery. Like, I've already done my checkup. I know I need it." No, you're not, or like, yeah, then so it's I always think about it like a doctor. I'm like, they're never gonna be like, "Why are you charging me so much when this surgery is only gonna take you 45 minutes?" Or it's very clear with a doctor. They've gone to school, they've
Yeah.
done all these things. Like a CPA is not much further down than a doctor in terms of the stuff that you have to do, but yet the questioning and the being like, "I don't understand this, and this why does this cost so much? And why do you do this so fast and you charge me? And I can just do this myself." It's night and day difference. It's night and day difference. I'm
Yeah.
always like, "Huh." It's very odd. Like, never would it you question a doctor that you have to do a checkup before they're gonna move forward with surgery.
Or
It's so
even an
weird.
attorney, like, people just expect
Yeah.
$600 an hour
Mhm.
fees, and we're structured very similarly, like, we are selling time, we're selling expertise, like, the in the universe of, like, services, attorneys, lawyers, and CPA firms, very similarly structured, and as far
Yeah.
as overhead too. But it's understood that attorneys cost a lot of money, and you're gonna be paying for their experience, but I think part of the problem is us in general, like, people accountant I don't know if we're necessarily great at establishing our boundaries and our time, and a lot of people
And
do for
business.
sure.
It's
Yeah,
really funny. Accountants are not a lot of them are not great at business in their own. It's
yeah,
so funny because we're supposed to be the business consultants, and then you talk to them about their pricing, their standard operating procedures, all of the stuff that they have, and it's and you're right, there's so much sway in the industry that people know they can shop around,
yep.
whereas with a lawyer, there's not that much, and if you do, you're gonna be going to Quackenbush down the street, and it's like, gotta be you just
Or what's
gotta
that show, Better
settle.
Call Saul?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Better Call Saul.
And Saul Goodman. Yeah. I've been called the Saul Goodman of Texas before. I'm not sure if that's that's good or bad. You haven't seen it? Oh, I love it, sir. I love Better Call Saul.
Is it dark? I stay away from dark shows because, like, it will absorb emotions. It'll affect my well-being.
Yeah, you might not wanna watch it just because some of the cases
I watch
you get
happy
too
stuff.
much. Yeah.
I do
I would
too.
yeah.
I do too. I try to stay away from bad things too. Like I was telling Claire before this started that I happened to watch a Purina commercial about animals that have been domestically abused, and I started crying, and then my husband was like, "Quit crying, you're going on the podcast, you're gonna ruin your makeup," and I was like, "The dog looked up at the owner, and there were all these mean voices because it had been abused," and he was like, "Stop." I was like, "Damn Purina commercials.
Oh
I
my
can't even do a
god. It even
commercial.
had, like, a
Get it
subconscious
out of here."
voices. Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
I'm
Maybe
gonna have
that's
to
what I need to do for my
commercial.
Instagram, just start doing really emotionally, "Have you been abused by your last CPA?"
It's trigger they let me
Show someone being, like, sitting there being yelled at on the phone. I'm just asking you, I saw an S corp on TikTok, sir." Ah.
Yeah. Is there do you see any common I know, like, my biggest thing is so many people don't realize they're a business owner, and they a lot of it has to do with, like, LLCs not filing their annual reports and having their own bank account. That is do you see what kind of common stuff do you see with the business owners? That's the things that I normally see is probably an S corp. They don't have an LLC set up yet. They do, but they haven't filed their annual report in 4 years. That's just some
I
common
think I
things.
see a real lack of accounting is, I would say, my number one pet peeve. Because how are you even supposed to know? If you're not in a high risk business, then the LLC is like meh. You might not need one for asset protection. If you don't have a lot of assets yourself, you're not in a high risk business, you're just side hustling. Like that's whatever, but how did they even know that they could save on taxes or that they're going to even owe a lot in taxes if they don't have any accounting? They've either been like a lot of the content creators have been commingling, and it takes us a while to sort out and be like, okay, you have all this stuff on your personal card, and all I see is a Capital One payment, an Apple payment. I don't know what's for your business. I don't know what a supply is. And to get it switched out, I think number one across the board, even for a side hustle, it's important to do that. I actually did an episode recently on CPA After Dark about bank accounts because I was talking about Relay Bank. I don't know if either of you guys have heard of Relay.
Yeah, I couldn't get them
Oh,
because I deal in cannabis clients, but I've heard of them. They use, like, the profit first system.
they do, yeah, and so I have an affiliate link for them and stuff, but you can have a client open a business account and there's no fee, and then they can have different accounts, so you can give them a tax savings account,
Yeah,
you can give
that
them different accounts, it's all in a portal, it's all online, you can be added as an accountant on the back end, so you don't have to ask them for logins for their statements, you can connect them to QuickBooks, like, it is so cool, it's so hip, like, it's such a good easy banking system for people with even if you don't have an EIN, you can open like a sole prop account. And
really?
there's no fees because yeah, and I think a lot of people are just like they look at opening up another bank account and they're
It's
like,
like
"What
a
in the ass?" And it
yes.
Relay
Usually you
makes it
do have to
so
have an EIN
not.
or
No, you can open up a sole prop bank account with your social and
that's
they'll let
Okay. We'll
alright.
have to just yeah, I'll get your link from you.
Yeah, we need to
yeah,
put
and
that
you
link
can
on there.
put it in the description.
You Are you profit first certified then?
No, and I only use a very like, a light profit first method for my clients. We do a
Same.
hybrid in our practice to
Yeah.
where I think it's a little over the especially for the influencers and the content creators, but I really like that, like, with Relay, you can set a certain percentage of each
Yep.
deposit to be transferred, and so you don't even have to tell them, "Hey, you gotta move over and save for taxes." You could just say, we're going to take 5% or
Yep.
10% of each deposit. We're going to
Yep.
get it right over into your tax savings. It's not going anywhere, but we're going to put it over here. And so I've never heard of a bank where you can actually automate a percentage of a deposit to be moved over without the client having to worry about it. So there's
Yeah.
little perks like that just make it so much easier for business owners. It's not this traditional headache of I gotta go. Even if you can open it online, it takes forever. And then it's just I don't know, I think it's so
Yeah.
great. So
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
only thing I see the
So
most, and it's the foundation of everything. If you don't have good accounting, you're overpaying in taxes or you're reporting your taxes wrong, you're spending more money than you have, the list goes on and on. It's everything.
you will miss out on deduction. Like, you know how it is. Your taxes, your bookkeeping always gets done last.
Yep.
And so at the end of the year, like, I know that because I'm not keeping up with my books continually, because I'm like everybody else gets taken care of, my shit gets set on the back burner. I'm so like, I scrutinize everything with my clients, but then at the end of it, I'm like, I don't want to touch mine. So mine is like the bastard child that doesn't get touched. And so you run out of energy, and I'm like, you know what? $50 doesn't matter. I'm not going to claim, but it adds up over time when you don't have that shit separated. So I actually use a similar, like, Mercury Bank does the same
Oh, yeah,
thing
agrees,
where
good.
you can have separate accounts. And so now all of that shit's automated. So I don't have to worry about not catching those things that might slip through the cracks. So they may not have support, but at least they're being accounted for. So if you're listening and you don't have an accountant, if you're DIYing it, absolutely automate your finances and automate, separate. And then you'll be like 80% there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to say I used to be like that, but my co-host on CPA After Dark, Kristen, Claire knows her. She's tough. She really got
Yeah.
after me for that because she takes time out like if not every
She's
week,
on
every
top of
couple
her
of
shit.
weeks. She
Yeah.
does her accounting, she does her book, she sits down. So she really got after me. So now I keep up on our books. It feels really good because after years of doing exactly what you said, Summer, like my husband be like, "Are we gonna do the taxes? I need the financials." I'm like, "Oh god, I haven't even reconciled in 12 months. I have no idea what's going on." But she really got after me. I gotta practice what I preach. I'm always telling our viewers to do it. So I've done it. My books are all caught up. Even my financials are combed through and clean. And it does feel nice to be able to go back last month and the month before and say, how much did I make? What's my average? What are
Yep.
my expenses here? And actually be able to see it because I was
Yeah.
definitely not practicing what I was preaching. I was ballparking. I watched a
Same.
YouTube video with Stradman. We just covered it actually, it's gonna come out soon, but if you haven't seen the actual video, I'm sure some of your listeners know who Stradman is. He's like a huge auto influencer. He was talking about an IRS audit he just went under, and they disallowed a ton of his they disallowed all of his meals because he didn't have receipts, for example. And so I tell my clients all the time, keep receipts, but I haven't been the best. So I'm just again, you're right. I'm trying to clean up my own house.
Yeah.
I'm like taking better pictures of my
Yep.
receipts, writing who I was with, what did we discuss, what the things, because boy, keep all of those little organization things add up.
They
And
really do.
Wow.
gotta figure
You
it
have
out.
a receipt bank tool or do you just
I
snap it?
just attach them in QuickBooks.
Okay.
But I can tell my clients to even just snap it into their tax dome. I don't care. It's get
Yeah.
me the receipt. I don't care how, and I'll attach it for you. But for my own, I'll just do it in QuickBooks because I have the app and it's so easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, same. I've had my firm since 16, and I think it was just this year, like in June, I think is when I was finally like, I've got to get my shit together. I've got to quit using a spreadsheet.
I've actually gotten my shit together this year. It does feel good, but it helps so much because like the OpEx account is the only account that any money comes out of. And then there's an income account that's the only account the money goes into. So it makes reconciliation so much easier.
Yeah.
And then we've got Dext for receipt, bank management, whatever. And it's been a blessing. I freaking
Yeah.
love
Have
it.
you seen that? Have you heard of that, Margaret? That is,
No, no.
yeah, that is, I just found out about it through summer. It's amazing. Like it gives you an estimate of how how bad off somebody's financials are as far as like cleanup, like needing
Yeah. It helps
like
quote
yeah.
clients. It'll do like a run through of their books in QBO or Zero, whatever they use, and it'll be like,
Mhm.
here's their health. And then you're like, because clients don't always understand what type of work goes into it. And they're like, yeah, my books are fine. And you go in there and it's, hey, their accounts haven't been reconciled since last year. And there's
Hidden
500,
account.
yeah, hidden
Yeah.
accounts, 500 transactions a month, and they're flowing through personal stuff. So it definitely gives you like a better way to quote different clients.
That's
Yeah.
so good
That's
to know. It's called Dext.
Yeah,
yeah.
there's Dex Precision, that's the one that gives you, like, the insights into their health and
Cool. I've underquoted bookkeeping cleanup more times than I care to
Oh
admit,
my
and it's a
God, me
nightmare. It
too.
makes me wanna kill
Yes.
myself. It's the worst job ever. Shout out to all the bookkeepers out there who clean up all the time. You're amazing. I don't there's, like, a job for everyone. It's just like how I can't deal with blood. I have a real hard time with the bookkeeping cleanup. Every time I do it, I'm like, "Why?" I underquoted, I underestimated. That sounds like a dream tool. I'll have to for sure look into that.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
it'll definitely help with quotes, and it'll give the client something tangible to look at when you're like, "Hey, this is pretty messy. You're in a messy situation. Here's why."
A
So, why
deliverable of their
Yeah,
mess.
yeah, because 'cause it'll break it down.
Yeah.
Here's why you're a mess. But yeah, there's just no way to standardize a cleanup process. I freaking love standardization and creating processes and making shit as efficient as possible because that's our job. Like we're selling time. The quicker we can do something, the higher our effective hourly rate goes. So when we're able to do that, you make more money, but you can't do that on cleanup. It's never the same.
So true.
Yeah.
Awful. It's a
It really
nightmare.
is.
People are just so creative in how they fuck shit up.
Hmm. They don't even know it. Like,
I
be
know.
pretty simple.
I'm not
Like,
even
"This is
mad. I'm
my
just
worst
impressed.
nightmare. This
Yeah.
is worse than any Better Call Saul episode I've ever seen. I'm so sad.
Yeah, but
So
then you
depressed."
estimate it and you're like, "Oh, yeah, I think it's gonna take about maybe 8 hours," and then it ends up taking, like,
48,
47. Yeah,
532.
literally a great time, and that's
It's been
how it
fun.
is with preparing tax returns. Like, people don't think about having to tie out the retained earnings at from the prior year's return, and people don't think about building out the work papers, and because if you don't do the financials, then hopefully the person preparing the return is tying everything out for the end of the year before they do that, before you put the numbers into the return. Yeah, the
They're
return
probably
only
just closing
takes
everything to opening balance equity. It's fine.
Oh
It's
my
done.
God.
It's in opening balance equity.
Why is that an account?
Why is it even allowing that? Like, why is it even in the chart of account?
Not only is it in there, it's one that you can't make inactive.
No.
I fucking hate that account.
I just always like a journal entry, put it
That's
into
why
a
you can
chamber.
automate like, you can automate and stuff, automate and separate all you want, but there's still so much more behind it when you start getting past the side hustle. It's like,
Yeah.
automate and separate when you've got a little side hustle, like, legit, like a side hustle.
Yeah.
But when you start being like, "I wanna turn this into something," or it just exploded,
Yeah.
no more
Yeah.
automating and
Right.
separating. You need to find someone to help you because it becomes so it like you said, it costs you more in cleanup than it would for you to just hire someone in the first place.
Yeah, and there's like a time cliff, right? If you're making so much money, you have to start thinking about what your time is worth. You're making enough money to where when you are working on your whatever it is, then the amount of time that you would spend, even if you were as efficient as we were, is losing you money because you're not making sales, because you're not focusing on your business. So even let's say all things equal, you know exactly what we know, you're as efficient, you have all the tools because we spend about 4,000 a month in technology and the tools that we use. You probably don't want to sink that money. But let's say you did. Let's say your time is worth $500 an hour because that's how much it equals in your revenue. So hiring us for 350 an hour is that you're losing money if you don't hire us because you're not putting
Yeah,
it in your business.
Yeah, that's a
right.
really good way to put it. I've
Rex and I
never
were
done
talking about that last night because we need help with our house and we have a handyman client and we were considering just doing trade work because we can make more money doing our accounting than we can trying to do the handyman
Yeah.
shit ourselves and we just don't have time for it. And
Yep.
I would
Yeah.
so much rather just trade. 'Cause he's got a good hourly rate and he's damn good at what he does, so I'm like, "Let's just do trade work." Like, his books are a mess. We'll do his books and he can help us with all this shit around here that we never get to. So, there's something to be said about staying in your lane too.
Yeah.
It's like no one can do everything, and when you're a small business owner, you basically have a child or a teenager or depending on what stage your business is in, but very rarely as a business owner do you have all this time to do everything yourself. So, if you can just offload some of the accounting, but still, I think it's important to have an active eye on it. You hear those horror stories of people who get laundered and embezzled by their secretary who's doing
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
books. So it's keep
Yeah.
a good eye. I always tell my clients, be a captain of your own ship. And if you want to ask me questions, ask me. If you heard something like my one guy, bruh, I seen this on TikTok. What is this? I never am offended because I know he's coming from this good place of being like, what is this? I have had
Yeah.
clients, however, send me TikToks and their intention is to question me and be like, "You said I can't do this, but look what I'm seeing." I don't like that. I don't deal with that shit.
Yeah.
But in
It's
general,
going.
if you're just being curious and you're trying to find and you're like, "Hey, I heard this. Is this something? What is this?" And ask me, be the captain. Look at your number, look at your financials, check everything out. Like I shouldn't be your last stop, your number one trust all. You should
Right.
be.
Yeah. Yep.
Even though I know I'm trustworthy, don't trust me 100%.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know
despite everyone thinking we're omniscient and know everything because we have access to the books, we don't. And there are some times that we have to make some assumptions, right? There's some weird vendors that come through. We Google it, try to classify it correctly. But it's funny because every month we send financials to the clients, and there's a task in our task list that says review these. Let us know once they're reviewed, and please check us, make sure that we're anything we had to make assumptions on
Yeah.
is accurate. And I had a client,
Really.
isn't this what I pay you for? And
Mm.
I was like, "I'm baffled right now. I'm asking you to make sure that I'm not moving
Yeah.
stuff to check and make sure that what I'm doing is correct, because at the end of the day, you are the business owner. You are the one that has to verify the accuracy of these when they do get submitted to the IRS. So you would think that you would want to look at these."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it just depends on the type of client too. Like some of them really want to be handheld and some of them want to be completely hands off. And so it depends on what kind of client you want to take and who you're comfortable with. Like I had those hands off clients and I don't really work with them anymore. I've slowly fired them all. I've slowly been like, as their little contracts renew or we get done with tax season, it's time to start over. I just say, I'm not taking clients anymore because I just don't want to deal with them that are so hands off. But if they need to be handheld, like my influencers, and they don't want to do it, and they're like, "This is lame, bruh," but they're not like, "What am I paying you for?" They're more like, "Ugh."
Yeah.
And I will literally now that I've gotten rid of all of these other douchebags that are like, "I'm hands
Very
off,
good.
you do it." Like now that they're gone, now I have time to handhold them. And
Yeah.
rather than just send them the financials, be like, "Oh, let's do a quick call," or "Let me review these, let me show you, let me ask you," and I can be a lot more hands-on to walk them through it because I got rid of those other clients that are just, like, so much
No.
attitude. Can't stand it.
Yeah.
No,
Not
who
That's
very
cares
what
good.
it's like
who
the
they are?
tone and the attitude, and I think some people have an air of superiority when they hire a service worker. Like, "You work for me, and I'm paying you money, so you have to take whatever I throw at you." And no, look, we're a business owner too. We get to reject people, and that's part of the reason why I became a business owner is so that I don't have to put up with bullshit.
Yeah.
So true. Amen. Amen.
Yep.
We don't do it let's see, what does Mark Kohler always say? He says something like, "You don't do it for the freedom, you do it for the flexibility."
Yes.
You're not
Yeah.
free,
Yep.
but you can
No.
create your own flexibility, and
Yep.
that's what I think is just it's everything in my life and my business. I know I'm not free. It would be nice if I was just, like, rich
We're
and
far
didn't but you
from
know what?
free.
I
Yeah.
probably wouldn't even be able to sit around because truly, even when I had my babies and I was a stay-at-home mom and I didn't have to work at all, I still got my EA, my master's, and my CPA license and had my business on the side, and I didn't have to do any of that. So I think there's, like, a personality trait that needs
Yeah.
to be busy, but it would be nice to be more free, but right now I'm taking flexibility as a business owner, and I'm just, like, grateful for that. If I can pick my kids up from school, go on a field trip every now and then, I'm happy, so
Yeah. I love that. It's so true because we're not free at all, and we will never but we'll never be free.
It's so true because we're not free. Neither will you be. Business after hours.
Everybody knows it.
And we've gotta do the question we ask all business owners, and I love the range of responses we get on this because I think if we ask it next year, it's probably gonna be different for every person that we're asking because you just learn so much. It's just drinking from a fire hydrant. But at this point in time, after going into business and being in business and being successful, what is one thing that you have learned that you wish you knew before going into business?
Very good question. And I can't wait to see next
What
year
they're gonna do
what I
next time?
Yeah.
what I man, hard to pick just one. I think if I could pick just one, what I know now that I wish I knew then was that you don't have to take on every client because you're afraid of losing money or business. Like, I've done a lot of work over the years on money mindset. I think it's very important. It's one of my tenets of my foundation of who I am, what I teach, what I like to share is that money mindset because for me personally, mine was weak. I grew up very poor, single mom, section 8, all of that. And I think if I knew then that I could really pick and choose my clients and I would have a better quality of life and I would actually make more money, that would have served me well. I had to learn that the hard way. I had to be in abusive client relationships just to get paid. Like one of my highest paying clients was also one of the ones that just really broke me down and treated me like shit all the time. And when I lost him because I raised my prices and he said, "You're not ready for this." And basically, in not so many words, "You need me and you're not ready for this. And this is way too high of a price. No one's going to hire you and no one's going to work with you." And he was wrong. I'm killing it now. I'm super happy. Clients I love, good pay. And if I would have known that, you have to learn these things. You have to grow. It was part of my growth and I don't regret it. But definitely, if I could have even squeezed in a little bit of that, would be my number one thing. You don't have to take every client out of fear of lack and scarcity to make your business work
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
shit, I'm about to cry.
And even being able to just like
because we're the same, Claire. Very similar.
even now, like I've had to learn the same lessons, really bad, borderline abusive relationships. But even now, there's some that still slip through the cracks. They dupe you in the beginning. And then you get a couple months in and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
you pull
I've
the
been
cord a
duped.
lot quicker.
Yeah.
Yep.
Big time duped. I think I'm over that. I think I'm done getting duped because I put my foot down with the universe. I really showed the universe I am a changed person. I am no longer putting up with these types of clients. I am no longer running my business this way. And we were living off credit cards. We were living off, and I would still turn them down. I was like, no, I don't care if it's a dollar. I don't care if it's a buck. I don't like them. I'm not doing it. And then I got duped because I think it was an extra trick And so then I got rid of her too. I was like, "No, you're out. As soon as your taxes are done, we're out. I'm never working with you again." And I think that was my final little mirror dupe test.
Yep.
If she wants to keep you on to help her in her business, but she was such a nightmare to work with, but are you gonna try to get her as a client or no? Because you're on credit cards right now and you've made this whole leap into your business and she could really help you monthly. No. Cut I was like, "Okay, we're done doing business, bye." And now I would hope I'm knock on wood being done being duped, but I
No,
feel
you'll get
I
new
have
challenge
made
now.
my point with the universe. Don't send me these people because 'cause I'm not dealing with it anymore.
I think whenever you put your foot down or you establish a new value, like your new value is sometimes money isn't as important as your mental health. And the universe has
Never.
to send something else your way and be like, is it? Is
Yeah.
it? Let me try it
Yeah.
one more time.
Let me yeah.
You would have a better mental health if you were on the beach being physically abused through text by your client. No, you wouldn't. I could be on a beach, and if I'm getting emails of bullshit, it's not gonna help me at all that I get
Oh,
paid enough to go on the beach or that I can't go
Yeah.
take my family somewhere because I'm being hounded because they don't respect that I'm also a mom.
yep.
So, no, you're right. There's no money that will take away from a good client relationship in my mind.
Yeah.
That's
Same.
yeah, that's such an important thing. I think it's so important, especially with we talk a lot about like service industry and the pricing matrix there and being able to establish it and stick to it and be strict with it. Because a lot of times the ones that try to negotiate you down are the ones that are gonna abuse you.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
That's usually how
That's
it works
that
out.
that's a perfect piece of advice to end on, I think, and that goes for every business owner, really. And even when we do our tax like, we've done taxes for other business owners, and then, like, my husband had a client who he did his taxes, and then he didn't pay and didn't pay. We should have billed first, but we didn't. It was like, "We're close.
Lesson.
The
Yeah.
guy's cool, like, it's fine," and didn't pay, had to hound him, had to hound him, had to hound him, and they were, like, friends before. And when he came back 2 years later because he tried to do it himself and then fucked it up, was like, "Hey, man," my husband's, "No, you don't respect my business. Like, you're a business owner and you didn't respect me. So, no, I'm not going to help you. I don't care." And that's really the thing is like, you would want to be paid and be respected in your business. So why are you trying to negotiate down someone else? It like doesn't make sense. Do you want us to try to negotiate you down? I have a client. She told me I only do her taxes, and she asked about bookkeeping, and I gave her the lowest quote I could ever in life. She's, "I just don't have that much money right now." I'm like, "Okay, that's fine." Then she came back, like, a week later and was like, "This sales tax thing," sent me a picture and was like, "What do I do here?" And I was like, "It's if I went into your business and was like, I want that for free." And then you're like, "It's actually $50." And I'm like, "That's too much money. I think I'm gonna pass on that. I don't have the money." And then I come back the next day and I'm like, "Okay, but now I, like, need that for this, so give it to me."
Yep.
Like, if it was a hard product, but since it's a
Yeah.
service, it's different, but it's I'm not gonna be like, "Give me that book from your bookstore." No,
Yeah.
you have to
Nobody
buy the book.
yeah,
Just
nobody does
because you
that with
tell me you
tangible
need
goods.
it the book now doesn't mean you now I'm just gonna give it to you because you came back and told me to give it to you for free.
Yep.
Like, the answer is still no. So,
Yep. That's so
ooh, that
true.
was a tangent. I'm getting hot.
Yeah.
No, I do too. Happens too much. And I now that like I've established my boundaries, I see it happen with other service workers and I'm like, no, go ask them for a pound of weed, but for free. Do that right now and see what
Yeah.
they say. They're gonna laugh at your face. They would
Mhm.
not do that to a drugstore, any tangible goods. They're not gonna do it to Walmart or anywhere. So no, it's an
Yeah.
insult.
Yeah. It really is. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sorry we made you hot.
No, I know, it was good. Good conversation. Hot lick hot topics. How could I be
Yeah.
and I'm in
That
Utah, and it's getting very cold, so I needed the heat.
yeah, it's 80 degrees here today in Raleigh.
Really? Like
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we obviously we're gonna have you back at some point
Sure.
soon.
Love that.
And we'll put all your links below. And yeah, is there anything else you need to tell us before you leave? I know you've got a bunch of cool stuff coming, but anything you want to tell
Um,
us about?
I'll be presenting at the Tax and Legal 360 in Phoenix. If
Ooh.
anyone wants to come get tax and legal,
Advice?
education, I'll be there
Yeah.
presenting there, and I'll just keep y'all updated. If you follow Extroverted Accountant, I will keep you updated there on upcoming projects.
Will that be live streamed?
The tech.
I Yeah, if you pay for a ticket, I think you can get like a virtual ticket that's
Okay.
cheaper, obviously, than
Yeah.
coming in real life, but it's gonna be a good conference, so
Yeah,
love
and it's a business write-off if you do go. So,
Depending on what industry you're in,
yeah, that too.
it probably would be.
Yeah, most likely. We have to say that it might not be.
Exactly. That's like the doctor, "You will most likely,
CYA.
but there's a chance you die, so
Yeah, nothing in
gotta
this
go to the
podcast
dinner."
is advice, right? We have that disclaimer.
Right,
Yes.
disclaimer.
Thank you so much for being here today, Marit, and
Yeah, good seeing you again.
we'll see
Yeah,
you
thanks for
soon.
having me. Alright, thanks,
Yeah.
guys.
Alright, bye.
Bye.
That was fun.